Welcome. My name's Stephanie Ellis, and I'm a psychologist and a concerned parent. This is part of my series aimed to get the word out to schools, districts, and parents about the need to start high school at 8:30 a.m. or later. In this video, I'll be talking to you about some of the common concerns that parents have and some solutions that have worked in other districts. My teen won't have time for sports after school. So that's one that we hear a lot, after school activities. Here's the thing. First, students with enough sleep perform better in athletics and they're less likely to be injured. I know that you want that. If needed, some districts have done this. After school activities can become before school activities. This does two things. It at least reduces the number of students that are still on the early schedule, and it probably still improves academics because at least the academic part is starting later. And listen, our district, Fort Bend ISD, already has a system for waivers to do work, to do college credit courses. That's an option if, for example, it was really, really necessary. What about working after school? So they're not going to have time to go to work. First, this is not as big of a problem as we imagine. The percentage of high school students who work has fallen dramatically in the last 2 decades, from 37% in 1980 to under 14% in 2010. Okay, so we're not talking about every high school student here. Second, the research in districts where this has been done shows that teens don't lose time on their after-school jobs. They rarely begin their work right at 3 p.m. And communities adjust quickly. It's easy to forget that we didn't always have these early high school start times. This didn't start until the 80s, and communities adjusted then too. And here's the thing. Students who work after school until late hours actually need the later start time more than students who don't. Again, the district already has a system for making this work. It's not something that is out of the realm of possibility. What about scheduling UIL events? Okay, debates, not just sports, right? Spelling bees, all this kind of after school stuff that we coordinate maybe with other districts. Turns out this can work and has worked in states where only one district in the area changes their schedule. This is doable. But here for us, Fort Bend, we might end up being the last people to make the change. Houston ISD has already done it. Goose Creek CISD has done it. Texas City has done it. Deer Park has done it. Pearland, Cypress, Fairbanks, and Pasadena all have stuff in the works. I mean, we could wait and be last. If it would be a problem now, though, it would be a problem then too. Okay, traffic. I am from Houston, Texas, and when you say the word traffic, everyone loses their mind. All right, look, as school and bus times change, so do traffic patterns. Families taking kids to school, differences, if any, typically are mild, okay? It's worth noting that when Houston Independent School District did this in 2018, no hell broke loose at all. It turned out to be okay. And what might happen really is that teens might then be driving to school when there's less traffic, which might contribute to fewer car accidents. Although that's something for another video. Okay, buses. This is one that I hear a lot from teachers and admin and stuff like that. How will we use our buses? We can't buy a bunch more buses. What are we supposed to do? There's not a one-size-fits-all solution here. Different districts do different things because every district and community is different. And yes, you do have to coordinate with your transportation department to make this work, but it can work. Some of the common things that people have done is swap elementary and high school start times, right? So if you used to have high school starting at 7:30 and elementary schools starting at 8:10, you swap those. As it turns out, elementary school students seem to do fine biologically in a learning way on the earlier timing. There are some concerns about that we'll talk about on some other slides, okay? Another choice is just adjust all of the start times so that you're triple using, or maybe depending on your district, quadruple using all of the buses for each of your individual start times. Okay, childcare. Some elementary school kids do need their teen siblings to supervise them after school, All right, so this becomes a common concern when the proposed solution is swapping elementary and high school start times, because then the elementary school kids would be getting out before the high schoolers are there to be able to supervise them. I hear this. There might not be a perfect solution for every family, but this is true in Fort Bend ISD, and I imagine that it's true in most districts across the country. Virtually every elementary school already has after-school care in place. High schools don't. All right. And teens taking care of young kids when those teens are sleep deprived, maybe not a great idea. Okay. And it's good for teens to have less unsupervised time after school because that presents its own dangers. So it's something that is going to take a little bit of working. There won't be one solution that's going to work for every family, but this has been doable in other communities. Safety. And in particular, if elementary and high school bus schedules are swapped, I hear a lot of concerns from parents about the safety of these elementary schoolers. Parents do not like the idea of young kids waiting for school buses or walking to school in the dark. Okay, I have young kids too. If you have teenagers, you've probably also had young kids in your life. Of course you don't want them waiting for the bus in the dark. No, of course you don't. And we do have that, at least in our district. Some of the bus times are really long. If we move to permanent daylight savings, it'll be an even bigger issue. It is a concern. I hear it. What specific concerns do parents usually have? It's vehicle pedestrian accidents. Will people see my little kids standing on the corner and will they get hit by a car? And abductions. Now, stay with me because this is kind of a tough slide, okay? Even though the press tends to cover child abductions of younger children more, it's teens between ages 12 and 18 that account for more abductions overall, and about 80% of stranger, that is non-familial abductions in the United States. Teens are at more risk than young kids for being abducted. That is what the data says, even though you do not see their flashy pictures on the news that much, okay? Likewise, teens are at higher risk for being hit by cars. 40% of teens, in fact, say they have been close to being hit by a car while they were walking, in part because they're more likely to be walking while they're distracted with a device. The teen death rate for vehicle pedestrian accidents is nearly 3 times higher than it is for little kids. I am not saying that I think we should just throw little kids out there in the dark because they're less at risk. I get that they would still be at risk. So it makes me wonder, why is the first go-to option usually swapping elementary and high school schedules? Why don't we start elementary school as it is now? Say for us, that's around 8:10. Our middle schools start at 8:55. And then start high school yet later at 9:35. As it turns out, all the benefits, no kids out in the early morning dark, and 8:30 is not the best time to start high school. I know I keep saying 8:30 or later. That's because 8:30 is the minimum acceptable time to start high schools. The best time would probably be 10. Alternately, okay, if swapping elementary and high school times still seems like the only solution for a district, okay, there are other ways to keep young kids safe. So for example, walking school bus programs have been effective in other places in the country, community supervision endeavors, things like that. It's doable. Hopefully your concern was addressed in this video. If not, drop me a line, let me know, I'll see what research I can find. But come on, let's help teens thrive and start school later. Please share any of this information with your district administrators, teachers, other parents, anybody you know that knows teens might need to start school later, but is not really quite sure how it's going to work out. Thanks so much.